Skull Island. The group arrived here and, looking at the lush green forest before them, all turned to look at Li Qingyue. Li Qingyue went directly into the air, first surveyed the surrounding environment, and after confirming their location, began to move in one direction. Along the way, the group didn't seem to encounter any creatures until Richard suddenly looked to his left and even pulled out his gun and fired, the sound of the gunshot stopping everyone. "What's wrong, Richard?" "Teacher, something ran by, and I'm not sure if I hit it," Richard said seriously. Everyone looked in the direction Richard had fired. Rusty sounds came from the direction Richard had fired. Not only Richard, but Li Qingyue and the others also heard something running by quickly. But when they turned around, they still didn't see anything. Finally, a group of creatures that looked like wolves and dinosaurs appeared. It's a jackal with a sharp spine. Jackals are the most energetic creatures on the island, with the agility of a leopard and the bite force of a great white shark. Their spines are covered with fibrous spines, as sharp as wire. They live in a state of cruelty and ferocity, attacking and cannibalizing their own kind, and even cannibalizing themselves when there is no food. Jackals can be said to be one of the most ferocious creatures on Skull Island, and their blood is milky white. The group stood back to back, looking at the hundreds of jackals that had completely surrounded them. They had originally planned to hunt some larger titans, but halfway there, they smelled a scent that didn't belong to this island, which is why they surrounded Li Qingyue and his companions. "Let's get started. Don't let them slow us down," Li Qingyue said calmly. He then charged out wielding the giant scythe, the sharp blade easily slicing through the body of the jackal with its spine, milky white liquid splattering out. Li Qingyue used extremely fast speed to dodge the blood. Richard held a revolver made of impact steel. This revolver fired bullets with greater kinetic energy, higher speed, and greater accuracy, making it as powerful as an anti-tank sniper rifle. If he could get an equipment upgrade card, the revolver's power would be even greater. Under the power of such bullets, the jackals had no chance to stop them. A single shot blasted their heads into dust. As more and more jackals died, it completely enraged them. They charged forward recklessly, and even noticed that Jill was the weakest among the group, so they charged straight at her. Jerry stood on Jill's shoulder, watching a large pack of bladeback jackals attack. He jumped down, his body turning into a cloud of white mist in midair. When the mist dissipated, Thousand-Handed Jerry appeared, summoning Thousand-Handed Spike, who casually annihilated the pack of bladeback jackals with a single kick. Finally, Li Qingyue swept away the last bladeback jackal with a single sweeping attack. The group put away their weapons, looked at each other, and found that no one was injured, although they all had some white blood on their bodies. However, it didn't matter, and they simply took out their wands to clean themselves up. They continued on their way and soon passed through the forest, arriving at a huge lake. Looking at the island in the center of the lake, which was about 10 meters long, Li Qingyue couldn't help but introduce it. "See that island? That's also a kind of titan called the Dead Soul Island monster." The Dead Soul Island monster is a giant crocodile-like predator that inhabits the lakes and tributaries that are scattered throughout the southern part of Skull Island. You can think of it as a larger version of a crocodile. After the introduction, the water surface suddenly bulged up, and everyone retreated. Then, a huge bull's head covered with algae appeared. Richard was about to make a move when he saw the huge bull's head, but Li Qingyue stopped him. "Boss, this is the Lone Reef Bull Demon. As long as you don't provoke it, it won't provoke us either," Li Qingyue explained. At the same time, Lone Reef Bull Demon and Li Qingyue exchanged glances. Li Qingyue suddenly thought of something and took out a 1 cubic meter blood orchid extract block. Lone Reef Bull Demon seemed to smell something and let out a long roar at Li Qingyue. Li Qingyue did not stand on ceremony and threw the block directly into its mouth. After consuming the blood orchid extract, the Lone Reef Bull Demon lowered its head and leaned towards Li Qingyue. Li Qingyue didn't stand on ceremony and patted its head softly, saying, "Although I don't know what kind of changes this thing will bring you, I still hope you can live well." The prototype of the Lone Reef Bull Demon is the Asian water buffalo. It also has the DNA of the Asian water buffalo. It reminded Li Qingyue of the old water buffalo in his previous life, which is why he gave it a piece of blood orchid extract in such a sentimental way. Then, the Lone Reef Bull Demon slowly sank into the water, as if the blood orchid block had already taken effect, and it needed a safe place to begin its evolution. "What's wrong?" Jill seemed to notice that Li Qingyue's emotions were off and asked. It's all right, let's continue. We need to evolve King Kong as soon as possible, and then help him defeat the skeleton crawler." That will complete the mission. The group nodded and continued onward. Along the way, they saw other titans such as Icarus Wing, the terrifying vulture, and the Holy Tiger. However, they soon spotted the overlord of Skull Island, King Kong. King Kong was standing in a river searching for something when suddenly a giant swamp squid entangled him. Swamp giant squid. The swamp giant squid lives in the waters of Skull Island. It is a giant cephalopod. This creature, which hides in the lake, is a close relative of the giant octopus of the North Pacific. It has the biological functions of both squid and octopus. When threatened, it will release a thick black ink ball. However, this ink has a furnace-like high temperature. In this way, the giant squid can burn its prey to death while hiding in the swamp and enjoying its prey. Unfortunately, even such a powerful being was no match for King Kong and was killed by him. Then it sat on the land by the river and ate the giant swamp squid, which was one of King Kong's favorite foods. Suddenly, Li Qingyue and the others appeared in front of King Kong. King Kong looked at the little people in front of him, but ignored them and continued eating by himself. After all, Skull Island is also inhabited by a human race, the Ivy. The Iwai tribe. They are a group of primitive tribes living on Skull Island. They are simple and kind. Due to long-term isolation from the outside world, the Iwai people are unable to speak and communicate normally with humans. They have always lived in fear until one day, the Congo family began to protect them. So the Iwai tribe began to regard the Congo family as their guardian deity and also developed a way to communicate with the Congo family. "Boss, what should we do next?" "Say hello to him," Li Qingyue said with a malicious smile. Li Qingyue watched King Kong eat, then slowly floated in front of him. King Kong was stunned, staring blankly at Li Qingyue. In his mind, humans shouldn't be able to fly. But this human in front of him could not only fly, but also wanted to steal his food. This was something King Kong could not tolerate, so it roared at Li Qingyue. But Li Qingyue was not afraid at all, but instead smiled mockingly. With a sudden force, the giant swamp squid in King Kong's hand fell into Li Qingyue's hand. But that wasn't all. King Kong angrily threw a punch, but Li Qingyue easily caught it and even grabbed his arm to give him an over-the-shoulder throw. King Kong was completely dumbfounded and lay on the ground questioning his existence. When it got up again, fear was in its eyes as it looked at Li Qingyue. "Can you understand me?" Li Qingyue asked Jin Gang. King Kong nodded, indicating that he understood. Li Qingyue then took out a large number of blood orchid pieces. Although King Kong did not know what they were, he kept his eyes on the blood orchid pieces. "Eat up. I'm here to avenge your parents." Hearing Li Qingyue's words, Jin Gang ate the blood orchid pieces without worry, and soon he fell into a coma. "Boss, what should we do next?" Walter asked. "How long will the evolution take?" Li Qingyue asked. "I don't know, Simba and the others took about a day." "A day? Who knows how long it will take? Let's move it to a safe place first." Li Qingyue then lifted King Kong and looked for a safe place. Soon they decided to place King Kong on the edge of the cliff. Then Wat and Jill used their abilities to create several bungalows, and they rested there. "Now all we need to do is wait for King Kong to wake up." "How long will it take?" Richard asked. "I don't know. Can't we just go and clear out the skeleton crawlers?" "Yes, but without King Kong's help, we can't force out the skeleton crawler. The place where the skeleton crawler is located leads to the inner world. Although it's sealed off now, it's still incredibly deep. Plus, the skeleton crawler likes to dig tunnels, and the tunnel is winding and complex. Even I would need some time to find it if I didn't know the way. So, before King Kong even wakes up, we can use him as bait." The skeleton crawler fought a great battle with King Kong's parents, who were killed, and only one skeleton crawler remains. So, the hatred between the two sides is irreconcilable. We can lure them out by using King Kong. While the group was chatting, King Kong's body began to change. A layer of calcium armor appeared on its body, and although it did not grow taller, it became much stronger. "It seems its evolution is nearing its end," Walter said, observing the changes in King Kong. "That's good. The faster they wake up, the sooner we can deal with the skeleton crawlers. By the way, boss, can I have a vial of its blood drawn?" "Sure, you can smoke a whole bucket, let alone just one tube." With Li Qingyue's permission, Walter actually extracted a bucket of King Kong blood. After storing the blood in his storage bag, Walter and his companions began to enjoy life. Their daily routine consisted of killing a titan they had never seen before and roasting its flesh. However, not all titan flesh was edible. Some titan flesh was highly corrosive or poisonous. 3 days later, King Kong opened its eyes. His first feeling was hunger. It rushed straight to the riverbank, grabbed a giant swamp squid, and began to eat it greedily. It was now completely immune to the giant swamp squid's attacks, and even immune to its hot ink. After eating 5 giant swamp squids and other titans, King was finally full, which was equivalent to 10 days' worth of food for him. "Are you full?" Li Qingyue asked, looking at Jin Gang. Kong has changed dramatically. It's now almost 2 sizes bigger than before, with increased muscle and bone density. It also has a new set of calcium armor. Although the strength of this armor is unknown, judging from its immunity to the swamp giant squid's attacks, Kong should be able to deal with the skeleton reptile with ease. Now it's time to get down to business. Take us to find the skeleton crawlers and wipe them out in one fell swoop. King Kong nodded, and then, in order to lure the skeleton reptile out, King Kong put away its armor and returned to its original form, but its strong body could not be changed. Led by King Kong, the group arrived at the entrance of a bottomless cave. King Kong then lifted a giant swamp squid and tore it off above the cave entrance, instantly filling the cave with the smell of blood. Soon after, the group heard heavy crawling sounds, followed by 3 small skeletal crawlers slowly emerging. Upon seeing this, King Kong immediately rushed over and smashed their heads with 3 punches. Even King Kong himself didn't expect his power to become so strong. Before he could recover, a large number of skeleton crawlers crawled out and declared war on King Kong. When he saw that the big skeleton crawler had also appeared, Li Qingyue found a huge rock and blocked the entrance to the cave. Finally, he joined King Kong in fighting the skeleton crawlers. The skeletal reptile that had survived from King Kong's parents charged at King Kong. King Kong didn't dodge or flinch, but simply grabbed it and slammed it down. In the past, King Kong would never have dared to do that, but now that he had evolved, he wasn't afraid of it at all. The skeleton crawler never expected that King Kong would become so powerful in just a short time. King Kong quickly killed it, and the other smaller skeleton crawlers were also killed. After the last one was killed, Li Qingyue's side showed that the commission had been completed. "King Kong, we're leaving now. We hope we'll meet again someday." King Kong looked at Li Qingyue and the others, letting out reluctant cries, but there was nothing they could do. As the white light dissipated, Li Qingyue and the others disappeared. King Kong looked at the corpses scattered all over the ground, found a small hill, leaned against it and slowly sat down. He sighed like a human. At this moment, he saw the IVI people he had once protected. A flicker of emotion appeared in his eyes. He stood up and walked towards the place where the IVI people lived. Meanwhile, Li Qingyue and his team returned to the Marvel Studios. After taking all the talismans with them, Li Qingyue once again led everyone to the world of the boys to complete their second mission, which was also the mission that Constantine most wanted to complete. In the world of the boys, Li Qingyue and his companions had just arrived and were about to settle scores with the Super 7 when they suddenly saw a blur flash by, followed by a woman being smashed into mincemeat by that blur. The woman's boyfriend was completely bewildered, but Li Qingyue knew that this was just the beginning of the story. "Boss, what should we do next?" "First, find a place to settle down, then wait until they start their live stream or hold a press conference, and then just kill them in front of everyone," Li Qingyue said calmly. After hearing this, everyone immediately agreed with the idea and found a place to rest. Then everyone saw the news on TV. The live news was a press conference held by A-Train from the 7. Not long ago, he had killed a woman. As a result, Vought International, the company that created all superpowers, used their media manipulation to turn A-Train into a superhero who accidentally killed a traffic violator while chasing a criminal. "He was the first one," Li Qingyue murmured. Immediately afterward, Li Qingyue soared into the sky. As he flew, a liquid-like substance appeared on his body. This substance enveloped Li Qingyue's entire body and formed a simple battle suit. This was the impact steel battle suit that Li Qingyue had Tony make for him. Soon Li Qingyue arrived at the place where the press conference was being held at the locomotive. He was suspended in the air, and the wind made his cloak flutter loudly. "Who are you?" the locomotive couldn't help but ask after seeing Li Qingyue. At this moment, the other reporters all looked towards where the locomotive was looking and also noticed Li Qingyue. Li Qingyue didn't speak, but slowly descended, finally meeting the train's gaze at eye level before saying, "I'm here to kill your Super 7, and you're the first." Upon hearing this, the train engine couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. In a flash, Li Qingyue also disappeared from the spot. When they reappeared, Li Qingyue was already holding the train engine by the neck and suspending it in the air. Looking at the agent that Vought Corporation had prepared for them, he smiled coldly and said, "Remember to inform the remaining 6 people that I will come and kill them one by one. Oh, and I should also tell you that you are too slow." After saying that, Li Qingyue snapped the locomotive's neck and threw it off like trash. The people from Vought Company looked at Li Qingyue in horror, wondering when such a powerful superhuman had appeared. After Li Qingyue left, the reporters immediately went wild. The live broadcast had already been transmitted and caused a global sensation. Some people even started comparing Li Qingyue's speed with that of the train, and were surprised to find that Li Qingyue's speed was dozens of times that of the train. To put that into perspective, no superhuman in the world could catch up with him, nor could anyone kill him. Not only that, netizens, not wanting to miss out on a good story, even started an online poll to see whether the remaining Super 6 team or the mysterious Li Qingyue would win. At this moment, in the Vought Corporation, the remaining Super 6 team watched the screen in front of them, which showed the battle between Locomotive and Li Qingyue. It could even be described as a one-sided massacre, because Li Qingyue won too easily. "What do you think?" Madeline Steviel, the second-in-command of the Vought Corporation, asked. "This person is very fast. If I can't slow him down, I can't kill him." Queen Maeve was the first to speak. "Homelander, what about you?" Madeline asked Homelander because he was the most powerful being. If even he wasn't confident in killing Li Qingyue, then the Vought group would have to use their trump card that had been hidden for many years. "I don't know, but I have enough confidence in myself," Homelander said proudly. "That's good. In that case, we'll hold a press conference tomorrow to officially declare war on this mysterious person," Madeline said, and then left. After he left, the 5 men looked at Homelander. "Homelander, are you really confident?" the lamplighter asked. "It's one thing if they don't believe me, but don't you believe me either?" Homelander slowly looked at the lamplighter. The lamplighter swallowed hard and immediately said, "No, Fatherlander, it's not that I lack confidence in you. I absolutely have confidence in you. It's just..." Seeing that the lamplighter could no longer speak clearly, Homelander slowly raised his hand, and the lamplighter immediately shut his mouth and sat obediently to the side. Seeing this, the others dared not speak. Homelander chased them away and continued watching the scene of Li Qingyue killing the locomotive. Looking at Li Qingyue in the scene, Homelander had to admit that he was indeed very fast, so fast that even he was no match for him. But he did not want to admit it, which was why the scene just now happened. Meanwhile, on the other side, Li Qingyue returned to the restaurant where everyone was resting. Just as he was about to have dinner, he never expected that people from the water group would come to his door. Everyone watched as the man burst through the door and saw him gracefully sit opposite Li Qingyue. "Is there something you need?" Li Qingyue asked, looking at the man in front of him. "Hello, I am Edgar, CEO of the Water Group. I know you, but you've got guts to come here alone. I'm here to discuss a partnership with you. I can make you a superhero even more famous than Homelander, and all you have to do is stop targeting the 7. What do you think of this deal?" "Sorry, I'm not interested in that. I'm only here to target the Super 7. Upon hearing Li Qingyue's refusal, Edgar smiled, said nothing more, and got up to leave. At this moment, a strange energy invaded Li Qingyue's brain, seemingly trying to make it explode. But Li Qingyue's physical condition was completely beyond their control. "You shouldn't have laid a hand on me," Li Qingyue said calmly. Edgar, who was walking towards the door, stopped and turned to look at Li Qingyue. To his surprise, Li Qingyue was unharmed. Under his astonished gaze, Li Qingyue snapped Edgar's neck and killed Newman, who was hiding in the shadows and trying to blow his head off. He carried the 2 corpses to the headquarters of the Vought Corporation, threw them at the door, and then swaggered away. The discovery of the 2 bodies the next day shocked the entire Vought Corporation, as their CEO had died. However, Madeline was delighted, as Edgar's death meant she had even more power. "Ms. Madeline, is it necessary to hold a press conference today?" Ashley Barrett asked. "Drive as usual. I want that mysterious man to know that the Vought Corporation isn't so easy to deal with. By the way, have you found their location?" "It has been found." "Then notify all the superhumans that anyone who can kill someone connected to Mystic will receive $10 million. The more superhumans you kill, the more likely you are to become a member of the 7, Madeline said viciously. She had paid a heavy price for her current status, so she would not allow anyone to ruin it. Homelander, Lamplighter, Queen Maeve, Deep Sea, Invisible Man, and Black held a meeting, but just as the reporters started their live broadcast, Li Qingyue arrived as promised, hovering in the air and looking down at the 6 of them. Seeing this, Homelander also floated up. Li Qingyue looked Homelander up and down, and finally couldn't help but sneer. "What are you laughing at?" Homelander asked. "I'm laughing at you, you imposter." Homelander glared angrily at Li Qingyue. He thought Li Qingyue was referring to Soldier Boy as the imposter, but he was actually talking about Superman. However, it didn't matter. Homelander angrily threw a punch, but Li Qingyue neither dodged nor avoided it, letting the fist hit his face. This force, enough to shatter a wall, couldn't shake Li Qingyue. Not only were the people of the motherland dumbfounded, but everyone else was also dumbfounded. They never expected that such a powerful Homelander could not shake Li Qingyue. In an instant, Homelander's status in their hearts plummeted. Homelander seemed to sense something and hurriedly tried to remedy the situation. Red laser beams shot from his eyes. To everyone's astonishment, Li Qingyue's eyes also shot out 2 orange laser beams, which directly pushed back his laser beam and finally hit Homelander hard, sending him flying. However, Li Qingyue had no intention of letting him leave. He knew these people's personalities very well, especially Homelander. Once he realized he was no match for them, he would run away. So Li Qingyue chased after him and quickly intercepted Homelander, who really wanted to escape. He punched him straight back to where they were holding their press conference, and then hovered in the air and mocked. "I never thought that a man as great as Homelander would try to run away. You really disappoint me." As he spoke, Li Qingyue returned to the ground and made a provocative gesture towards the crowd. Queen Maeve immediately rushed towards Li Qingyue, but even Homelander's fists couldn't hurt him, let alone them. Soon, everyone was knocked to the ground by Li Qingyue. The Vought International Corporation is determined to protect these 6 individuals, as they have invested heavily in elevating them to their current status. Re-establishing such global superheroes would require an astronomical sum of money and time, and most importantly, the public would not accept it. Therefore, they cannot afford to lose this battle. They absolutely cannot lose. As more and more superhumans appeared, they were all loyal Vought agents, specifically used to enhance the prestige of the Super 7. They pulled out large amounts of Compound V, which would greatly enhance their abilities, and then launched a suicidal attack, rushing directly towards Li Qingyue on the stage. Li Qingyue ignored them and instead smashed Schwantz's body with a punch. Next came Queen Maeve, Deep Sea, Invisible Man, Lamplighter, and finally only Homelander was left to put up a last-ditch resistance. Li Qingyue broke Homelander's limbs and threw him to the ground. Then he went to deal with the superhumans who rushed up. In no time, all the superhumans here were dealt with, leaving only Homelander still panting. "All right, it's your turn next." Li Qingyue slowly walked towards Homelander, each step feeling like a gentle kick to his heart. This feeling of waiting for death was truly terrifying for Homelander, who began to frantically beg for mercy. But Li Qingyue acted as if he hadn't heard him and continued to advance. Finally, he arrived in front of Homelander and was about to stomp his head when the sound of a helicopter came from the sky. Li Qingyue looked up and saw a figure landing in the distance and then slowly walking towards him. "Soldier Boy, I never expected them to release you. I didn't expect this either, but I also need to thank you. If it weren't for you, they wouldn't have released me. To thank you, I've decided to give you a quick death." Li Qingyue couldn't help but sneer. He never expected that someone would say such a thing to him. "Come on, let me see how you're going to settle things with me so easily," Li Qingyue said with a smile, standing in place. Upon seeing this, the Soldier Boy immediately rushed forward and punched Li Qingyue twice. But to him, these 2 punches were like tickling, causing no pain or itch. The Soldier Boy even attacked his weak points, but still had no effect. In the end, he could only unleash his ultimate move. As a shockwave erupted from his chest, the powerful force sent the Soldier Boy flying backward. Li Qingyue remained standing motionless. When the Soldier Boy stood up, he thought he had successfully eliminated Li Qingyue's ability and was about to kill him completely when Li Qingyue smashed his head with a punch and then crushed Homelander's head with a stomp. After doing all this, Li Qingyue returned to the hotel. The hotel turned out to be a hellish place, littered with severed limbs and broken bodies. "What's going on?" Li Qingyue asked when he saw the crowd. "I don't know. Suddenly a group of people attacked us. If it weren't for Connor, we probably would have suffered heavy casualties." Upon hearing Richard's words, Li Qingyue frowned. He was just about to confront the Vought group when it was time to leave, and everyone had to return to the Marvel Studios. After receiving the reward, Li Qingyue handed the Dimension Upgrade Scroll to Constantine. Constantine immediately used it, and the destroyed dimension surged. First, the space became almost 10 times larger, and then he could now increase his own dimension by absorbing dimensions weaker than himself. How about it? Everyone looked at Constantine and asked. That's fantastic. Now I can absorb other dimensions to enhance the destruction dimension, but I can only absorb dimensions weaker than the destruction dimension. And I don't recall having any such dimension in my memory, Constantine said with a wry smile. After all, there are practically no dimensions smaller than the one he destroyed in the Kamar-Taj collection. Smaller dimensions are usually reserved by other powerful dimensional demons as soon as they appear, who then forcibly seize them and integrate them into their own dimensions to enhance their own. Therefore, smaller dimensions are extremely sought after. The reason it can destroy dimensions is because of the existence of the Ancient One. No one dares to take it. In addition, the characteristics of destroying dimensions mean that although it is a small dimension, it is enough to go toe-to-toe with some powerful dimensions. Boss, you haven't had any new requests lately, have you? I need to go to Kamar-Taj to check when a smaller dimension might appear. Go ahead. There shouldn't be any more commissions for now, Li Qingyue said. Constantine nodded and then returned to Kamar-Taj. Well, boss, I'm leaving too. I've already made plans with Naya to go land surveying with her today. Go ahead, Walter, what about you? Me? I might have to go see my old man. Ever since he left the Ten Rings gang, he went to some Ten Rings gang. I need to go see him and provide him with some equipment so that he can have a higher status, Walter said helplessly. All right, go ahead then. And just like that, the firm was left with only Richard, Li Qingyue, and Jill. Richard also had to return to his normal class schedule, since he was already a teenager in the blink of an eye. The next day, Richard woke up yawning and went downstairs to see Vanessa making breakfast. He mumbled a greeting in his sleep. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, Richard. Are you going to school today? Yes. I haven't had any cases lately, so I can go back to school. Go ahead, but be careful lately. I heard there's a super criminal group that seems to have superpowers and can appear and disappear without a trace, specializing in stealing works of art. Okay, Mom, you know how capable I am, Richard replied casually while eating his breakfast. After having breakfast and washing up, Richard took a car to school. Upon seeing Richard, Leah rushed into his arms and whispered, Richard, I missed you so much. Why did you disappear for so long again? I'm sorry, Leah. This is for my job. I'm really sorry, but don't worry, I don't have any work to do lately, so I can spend more time with you. Don't worry, Richard said, stroking Leah's hair. They then took their seats, and it was then that Richard realized Ferenc was missing. Where is Ferenc? I don't know, he hasn't shown up for a long time. Yes, my brother has been coming home very rarely lately. Every time he comes back, he's covered in injuries. Mom is so worried, but he just won't listen to reason, Leah said helplessly, because she knew where Ferenc had gone. Never mind him, the teacher's here. Let's start class, Richard reminded them. The four of them then obediently began class, and Richard thoroughly enjoyed this leisurely time. When get out of class ended, Peter and Ned surrounded Richard. Richard noticed the bruises on their faces and asked, Did someone bully you again? Yeah, it's a new guy. I heard his dad is the mayor of New York City and his mom is the big boss of an investment bank on Wall Street. They're very powerful. You weren't there on the day he transferred schools, and Peter and Ned just passed by without saying hello to him. As a result, he got someone to beat Peter and Ned up. But they didn't embarrass you. They fought back, but they got beaten up pretty badly. If my brother hadn't come, they'd probably still be in bed right now. Are you all right? Are you still in pain? Richard asked, looking at the two of them. It's okay. I really didn't embarrass you this time, Peter said with a smile, but the smile aggravated his wound, and he instinctively cried out in pain. Wait a minute, have some of these. Richard took out 2 golden apples. Leah looked at Richard curiously, wondering where he had gotten the golden apples from. Eat it. What are you waiting for? Richard said again. Isn't this gold? How do you eat it? Ned asked, holding up the golden apple. Just give it to me. Richard picked up the golden apple and stuffed it into their mouths. When they tried to refuse, they accidentally took a bite and found that the golden apple was really delicious. After they finished the golden apple, they were surprised to find that all their wounds had healed. This? Isn't that amazing? How did you get the golden apple? Leah asked, reaching out to touch Richard's body. Richard took out a storage bag, handed it to Leah and said, There's a cubic meter of space inside. Here, take it. Really? Of course. Leah happily hugged the storage bag in her hands when suddenly a hand reached out from behind her, trying to snatch the storage bag away. But Richard was faster and grabbed the person's wrist. "Who are you? What do you want?" Richard asked, frowning. "It's you. He's the one who hurt Peter and Ned," Lydia shouted, hiding behind Richard. "Richard Fisk, I know your father is Kingpin, but so what? With just one order from my dad. There's nowhere for you to hide in all of New York. So you'd better hand over that magical bag to me," the man said arrogantly, poking Richard in the chest as he spoke. Richard hadn't expected this guy to be such an idiot. He shook his head helplessly, then kicked him away. But that wasn't all. Richard stepped on him, took out his phone and said, "I don't care if you call your dad or your mom. If no one comes over in 10 minutes, I'll break your leg. Don't doubt my abilities. Your time is running out." The boy was so frightened that he immediately contacted his father and told him what had happened, even embellishing the story. This angered his mayor father, who rushed to find him. 10 minutes later, just as Richard was about to stomp on his arm to break it, a car and a police car pulled up. A middle-aged man and 2 police officers got out and ran straight towards Richard. The police even drew their guns and pointed them at Richard, shouting, "Stop, or we'll shoot." Richard slowly turned his head to look at the 2 policemen. The next second, a revolver appeared in Richard's hand, and he fired at an extremely fast speed. The bullet hit the 2 policemen's standard-issue pistols directly. The powerful impact caused their pistols to slip from their hands and fall apart in midair. "You're his father? Then you should know who I am, right?" Richard said calmly. "Release my son first," the mayor said, swallowing hard. "No problem." Richard released his foot, and the boy ran frantically towards the mayor, hiding behind him and continuing to shout, "Richard Fisk, you wait. When I get back, I'll send men to arrest your whole family." No sooner had the words left his mouth than a gunshot rang out. The bullet grazed the mayor's son's face and pierced through the mayor's bulletproof car, finally blasting a hole in the wall with undiminished power. Seeing that a revolver could possess such great power, everyone couldn't help but swallow hard. "This is just to teach you a lesson. If there's a next time, don't blame me for being ruthless. As the mayor of New York City, you should know who I am. Not to mention that my father is Kingpin, you should even know my teacher, the owner of Marvel Studios. I don't know why you're testing me, but this is the only time," Richard said coldly. Richard's handsome appearance made Leah's eyes sparkle with love as she looked at him. The mayor of New York City didn't say anything, but picked up his son and left the school with 2 police officers. "What's going on?" "I don't know. It seems like someone is trying to test our limits. But it doesn't matter. Even if the sky falls, my dad and my teachers will hold it up. Let's ignore them."